Right now, as you sit wherever you are, the ground beneath you is in constant motion. We don't feel it, but we are spinning along with Earth at extraordinary speeds. At the equator, the surface moves at more than 1,600 kilometers per hour, or over 1,000 miles per hour. That's faster than the top speed of a commercial jet. And yet, because everything around us, the oceans, the atmosphere, the buildings, and we ourselves, are moving together, it feels like nothing is happening. It feels like stillness. But imagine, for a single second, that stillness becomes real. Imagine that the Earth's rotation simply stops. Not forever, not for a day, not even for an hour, just 1 second. 1 second in which the surface of our planet ceases to turn while everything else keeps moving. It sounds harmless. What can a second really do? But that single second would be enough to change life on Earth permanently. Think about what happens in a car crash. You're driving at high speed and you hit the brakes or slam into something solid. The car stops. But you, and anything not firmly secured, keep moving forward at the same speed the car was going. That's why we wear seatbelts. Now magnify that principle to a planetary scale. The Earth is the car. All of us, every city, every ocean, every layer of the atmosphere, are the passengers. If the Earth stops spinning, everything not bolted into the very bedrock will keep going at the speed it was already moving. At the equator, that speed is over 1,000 miles per hour. Imagine running into an invisible wall at that velocity. The result would be instant devastation. Entire populations would be swept eastward by sheer momentum. People would be flung across landscapes. Vehicles would rip from highways. Trains would derail. Planes in flight would suddenly find the ground beneath them, moving differently than the air around them, creating instant chaos in the skies. But the biggest impact would come from the air itself. Our atmosphere is not glued to the planet, it's held by gravity and by motion. When the Earth's crust stops, the atmosphere keeps spinning. That means winds of unimaginable strength, far stronger than any hurricane, would suddenly rip across the planet. Supersonic gusts of air would tear down everything in their path. Buildings, trees, bridges, nothing would stand. Whole cities would become piles of rubble swept clean by moving air. The glass in skyscrapers would shatter, turning into billions of tiny blades carried by the storm. For people in its path, survival would be virtually impossible. The oceans would behave in the same way. Water, like the air, doesn't stop instantly. Imagine trillions of tons of ocean water suddenly surging forward. The result would be global tsunamis. Walls of water taller than skyscrapers would smash against coastlines, ripping entire cities away. The Pacific would roar across Japan, California, and Chile. The Atlantic would drown Europe, West Africa, and the Americas. The Indian Ocean would surge into South Asia and East Africa. Every coastline in the world would be obliterated. Inland, rivers and lakes would slosh violently, flooding valleys and sweeping away towns. Dams would burst. Reservoirs would overflow. Even mountains would not shield entire regions from sudden floods. Water, seeking balance, would smash against everything in its path. The land itself wouldn't escape. Earth's crust is a patchwork of tectonic plates floating on molten rock. A sudden stop of the crust would create stress and friction beyond anything the plates have experienced in billions of years. That means earthquakes everywhere. Not just in places like California or Japan where faults exist, but everywhere, from the Canadian Shield to the heart of Africa, from the Amazon basin to Siberia. Entire continents would tremble. Cities would collapse not only from winds and floods, but from the ground shaking violently beneath them. Volcanoes could erupt as well. The sudden jolt of pressure would open cracks in the crust, allowing magma to surge upward. Ash clouds would fill the skies over regions already devastated by storms and tsunamis. Lava would pour into areas where survivors might have fled, cutting off escape routes and adding fire to an already apocalyptic scene. The immediate casualties would be in the billions. Most of humanity lives within a few hundred kilometers of the equator, where the momentum is greatest. In these regions, destruction would be almost total. In Europe, Asia, and North America, where the momentum is slower, the devastation would still be catastrophic. But survival would be more likely the closer you were to the poles. Near the Arctic or Antarctic circles, the speed of Earth's spin is far less. People there might be knocked over by violent winds, but not instantly vaporized by 1,000-mile-per-hour momentum. Still, survival in those regions wouldn't guarantee safety. The planet as a whole would be scarred permanently. Infrastructure would collapse. Power grids would fail instantly. Communication satellites, thrown off orbit by the disruption, would blink out. Air travel would cease. With floods covering coasts, earthquakes splitting cities, and storms flattening landscapes, governments would be powerless to respond. Civilization as we know it would unravel in a matter of days. And all of this happens because of 1 second. Just one. A pause in Earth's spin that you could almost miss if you blinked. But in that second, the delicate balance that makes our planet livable would be shattered. The calm rotation we take for granted, the unseen motion that governs day and night, winds and tides, storms and seasons, would be revealed as a fragile thread holding everything together. Even after Earth's spin resumed, the scars would remain. The survivors, if any, would live in a world unrecognizable from the one they knew. Cities would be gone, coastlines redrawn, ecosystems destroyed. Humanity, if it endured, would be pushed back centuries, scrambling to rebuild on a planet that had been violently reshaped in less time than it takes to take a single breath. This is the terrifying truth about our spinning world. It feels steady, it feels permanent, but it is in constant motion. The very idea that it could stop, even briefly, shows how utterly dependent we are on forces we cannot see.